A very good morning, everyone. I'm Shweta Singh, and I welcome all of you to Q&A session. So, am I clearly audible? Please let me know. Class 8th.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Okay, so this will be the last lecture of coal and petroleum. After this, the chapter will be done. Right, so you should be happy about it. So we are supposed to, we are going to complete the revision of coal and petroleum. But if we get another class related to coal and related to chemistry, we will be doing revision of full chapter. Okay. So today, the last topic that we need to discuss in this session is natural gas. We have already discussed petroleum and we are left with natural gas. And after that, a small topic related to the environment, that the natural resources are limited, right? So we will be talking about it. This is something that we need to cover in this session. But before that, just give me a second. Yeah. But before that, uh, the prerequisite for this topic, fossil fuel and formation of natural gas. So I hope till now you must have understood what is fossil fuel, right? Out of which we have already discussed coal, we have already discussed about petroleum. Fine. And one thing that we need to discuss, that is natural gas. And second, formation of natural gas. Do you have idea how is natural gas formed? Do you have this idea? How is natural gas formed? No? Okay. So if you remember, we did the formation of petroleum and natural gas in last session itself. So the process whole that we discussed about the formation of petroleum was also the process of formation of natural gas, because both are formed together in this one process. Right. So what happened during this formation? Let's have a look. We have already done, but we will recall everything now. Okay, so what we discussed about it, over a period of million years, what happened? The tiny marine organisms died and settled on the ocean floor. This is what we discussed in the last session, right? We tried to memorize it also. So the tiny marine organisms, they died and settled on the ocean floor. And after that, over the time, the dead organisms, they got covered beneath sediments, right? Beneath sediments. Now, when they got compressed, the temperature rose, right? So enormous heat and pressure transformed these remains to petroleum and natural gas, right? Petroleum and natural gas. So this is the process of formation of natural gas. Okay, so rising through the porous rocks like sandstone, petroleum and natural gas, they reached a layer of impermeable rock and were trapped below it. So we said no, they were trapped between the rocks. Fine. And when they are trapped, the natural gas, since it is lighter, it is less denser, so it will be above the petroleum. Okay, it will be above the petroleum. So this was the process of formation of petroleum and natural gas. This is something we discussed in the last session. Okay. We also discussed about the refining of petroleum. Do you remember? We discussed about the refining of petroleum. Good. So, what is refining? Can anybody explain me? What is refining of petroleum? Can anybody explain what is refining of petroleum?
Ma'am, it's like separating like the impurities to get pure form of oil.
No, 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 no. No. Just see the notes, what we wrote. Refining was extraction, basically separation of different fractions, separation of different substances which are useful to us, right? So in we know that petroleum has many hydrocarbon products, so we need to separate them because they are used differently, right? So separating different fractions of the petroleum is called refining of the petroleum. So we used what? Fractionating column for this separation. And which technique did we use? Fractional distillation, because the boiling point difference was low between different fraction. So just have a look on this, right? So we are actually heating the petroleum up to 400 degrees Celsius, right? As the vapors of petroleum rise in the fractionating column, okay, as the vapors rise in the fractionating column, they cool and condense. Right? They cool and condense at different heights depending upon their boiling point. Whichever will be having lower boiling point, that will be condensed above at the top, and whichever will be having the lower boiling higher boiling point will be condensed at the bottom. So this is how we separate all the fractions. Then I said we need to memorize their uses. We should know the uses of each fraction here, right? So petroleum gas we get below 40 degrees Celsius. So petroleum gas is used in the form of LPG for the domestic uses, right? About the LPG, I asked you what is the composition. Anybody remember? What is the composition of liquefied petroleum gas? What is the composition of liquefied petroleum gas? Anyone? Okay, so nobody is revising. This is what I should think of, right? Okay, so LPG contains mainly propane, butane, and isobutane. So mainly petroleum gas contains, sorry, LPG contains propane, butane, and isobutane. And what is the full form of LPG? Liquefied
Liquefied.
petroleum gas, right? And I asked you, there is one chemical that we add in LPG to give it characteristic smell, so that we could get to know in case of any leakage. So what is that chemical used to give it its characteristic smell? What is the name of that chemical? So nobody is revising, right?
Ma'am, I didn't come for like a week of classes, so I didn't know.
Wait, but this class is happening after 1 week, let me tell you.
Exactly, ma'am. I was out. I was in it.
Okay, anyway. So it's ethyl mercaptan, right? Do not forget because this is something general knowledge, right? That we should know about these small things. Ethyl mercaptan is the chemical that is added in the LPG to give it its characteristic smell. Okay. Okay. Now coming to the next fraction, 40 to 170 degrees Celsius. That's the boiling point. At this temperature, petrol gets separated out, and we know very well petrol is used in as a fuel in automobiles, in dry cleaning, and making various chemicals. Okay, next fraction up that is 170 to 250 degrees Celsius. At this temperature, it gets separated, and this is kerosene, right? Kerosene. What is the use of kerosene? So it is used as fuel in lamps and stoves. Not only in lamps and stoves, but also in jet engines, right? It is also used in jets. Okay, next at 250 to 350 degrees Celsius, diesel gets separated out, and we know that diesel is used to run heavy vehicles, right? So, used as fuel in heavy motor vehicles and generators. Fine. Next, 350 to 400 degrees Celsius. At this temperature, fuel oil gets separated and it is used in, thermal power plants. So basically to generate in power stations to generate electricity and as a fuel for the ships. So fuel oil is used for power stations and ships. Okay. Lastly, we get lubricating oil. Now, lubricating oil is used for lubrication purpose, right? So to reduce friction, right? So if we are providing lubrication, means we want to reduce friction from the machines. Okay. Used in candles. Now, remember which product of the petroleum is used to make candles? That is paraffin wax. Okay. So, yes, exactly, Ayush. So, we actually call it paraffin wax. So, from paraffins, we get candles. Why? Because paraffin wax has a special property that it burns slowly. It burns slowly. So, it can be used to make candles. Okay. Then we get Vaseline out of the petroleum products only. Ointments we can make, and making roads. So which uh, which substance of the petroleum is used to make roads? So that is bitumen, right? That is bitumen which makes the road waterproof, fine, and it makes it durable. So I hope this color is visible to you all. Red color, is it visible? Okay. Fine. So this is what we did in the last session, but I knew that you people will forget. So I repeated all of these things. Okay. Anyway, let's move on to the today's topic. So we will be discussing natural gas and about the natural resources that they are limited in amount. So this will also carry 1 to 3 marks. So we will discuss about natural gas and natural resources. Fine. So let's start now. Natural gas. So mainly your natural gas is made up of methane. Which gas is present here? That is methane. And what is the structure of methane? You can see here, we can simply write the formula CH4. So do remember 95% methane is present in your natural gas. So natural gas is made up of mainly methane, and that is up to 95%. Okay. And one more important point, to generate electricity in US, 30% electricity generation is done by natural gas. So that is the use of natural gas. So this is how it is used. So 30% of the power which is generated in US, that is through natural gas only. Okay, so now coming to the uses. So as we said that it is used to generate electricity, right? It is used to generate electricity. Fine. Second, CNG, compressed natural gas. CNG, that is compressed natural gas. It is used as fuel. You know very well, it is used as fuel in automobiles and it is environment friendly, right? It is more environment friendly as compared to petrol and diesel because it is releasing less amount of pollution. Yeah, or I should rather say releasing less amount of pollutants. Okay, so CNG is used to run automobiles, and coming to the other uses, natural gas is used in production of ammonia and hydrogen gas. So basically, during the production of ammonia and hydrogen gas, the natural gas can be used as the fuel as well as it can be used as the feedstock, right? So to provide the raw materials for the production of hydrogen and ammonia, the natural gas is used actually. So as the feedstock as well as the fuel, right? It Natural gas is used in the production of ammonia and hydrogen. So basically, to produce hydrogen, methane is used, right? Methane is actually treated at high temperature with steam. So where do we get good amount of methane? From the natural gas. Okay, fine. Coming to the next one. The next is in it is used in the manufacture of steel. Again, in the steel industry also, it can be used as fuel as well as feedstock. So the point here is it is used in the manufacture of steel. So it is used in the production of ammonia, hydrogen, and steel, right? As well as in the manufacture of glass. So it doesn't provide any feedstock for the glass formation, but yes, it can be used as fuel to melt, to fuse the substances, to melt the substances which makes glass. Okay, fine. It is also used in the manufacture of plastics and other products, right? So we have seen many uses of the natural gas. So we should make a list out of this. So can we just write down here where is natural gas used? Let's make the list here. Tell me, what shall I write? Uses. Come on, tell me one by one. It is used in the production of or manufacture rather manufacture of steel. It is the CNG is actually obtained from natural gas. So we use CNG as a fuel in automobiles. Okay. It is used in production of glass.
Ma'am, production of electricity generation.
Yes, to generate electricity. Okay. Anything else? Yes, in production of plastics and other products. Okay, yes, it is used in production of ammonia. The formula of ammonia I told you, that is NH3, in the production of ammonia and hydrogen gas.
Ma'am, heating also.
Uh, I mean, we don't use natural gas for the heating purpose in domestic, as the domestic source, but yes, we use it for heating in case of industry. So we won't call it heating as it is, but we have already written that it is used as fuel there. No,
Yes.
that is petroleum. Wind power. Okay, so I think we actually made whole of the list. So you should remember this list. What I made, that is for you people, so that you can memorize it. You can note down all the points, and it can be used to write answers in your exam. Okay. So have you written all the points?
1 minute, ma'am.
Okay, take your time.
Ma'am, done.
Everyone? Shall we move ahead? Okay, fine. So now coming to the limitations of fossil fuel.
Ma'am,
So when we are,
can you just show that 1 minute?
yeah, yeah, okay,
Thank you, ma'am.
okay, fine. So when we are talking about the limitations of fossil fuel, I mean, what is I mean, what are the drawbacks of using fossil fuel, right? So that is the limitations of fossil fuel. So maybe it's coal or the petroleum or the natural gas. What is the drawback? So first thing, that it is exhaustible resource, right? Fossil fuels are exhaustible natural resources, so they are limited and their availability is limited in nature. And why? Because they take millions of years to form, right? So what will happen if we use it in excess? What will happen? They will get exhausted. Yes, Ayush, pollution is the second limitation of the fossil fuel. So yes, the second point what Ayush just pointed out, that fossil fuel causes what? Fossil fuel causes pollution. So air pollution is caused due to their use. Okay, so why is it so? Because when we burn fossil fuel, many pollutants get added up in the atmosphere. So we should know what are those pollutants. So let's make the list of them. But before that, how this affect actually? So these pollutants adversely affect the life of organism. We know very well this is not something new. And pollutants can be in the form of particles or gases. This could be a question. The pollutants, the state of pollutants, that can be solid or gases. So pollutants can be in the form of particles or gases. Do remember this. Okay. Now coming to the, do you want to write something here? So first point you had to write that there is limited availability of the fossil fuel. Please note down. And I think you can explain it very well. You don't have to write the explanation. Just write down the first point here is limited availability in nature. Okay, fine. Then second point you will write air pollution is caused due to their use. This is the second point. Air pollution is caused due to their use. Okay. And after that, you will write use
Ma'am,
of fossil
wait.
in the. Sorry.
Ma'am, wait, please.
Yes, do write down this. And now this is these all points. What will you write? No, whatever you are going to write, these all points will come under point two. Okay. So don't make it third point. This will come under second point only. Use of fossil fuels adds many undesirable substances called pollutants in the atmosphere. Okay. Fine. Next, pollutants can be in the form of particles and gases. Write the next point. Pollutants can be in the form of particles or gases. No, all will come under the second point. We are talking about the pollution, no? So these points, everything is related to pollution only. Okay, so pollutants can be in the form of particles or gases. Now let's make the list of air pollutants and how do they affect us. So the main air pollutants, carbon monoxide. What is the formula of carbon monoxide? What is the formula here? Carbon monoxide we wrote, no? CO. When we were talking about coal gas, I gave you the formula. Carbon monoxide is CO. Then next is carbon dioxide. And I think everybody knows the formula here, CO2. Okay. Next, sulfur dioxide. What is the formula of sulfur dioxide? SO2. Okay. Right. So it's SO2. So carbon monoxide is CO, carbon dioxide CO2, and sulfur dioxide is SO2. Then soot particles. What are soot particles? They are unburnt carbon. So carbon which didn't get burned, so it appears in the form of small, very small solid particles. So we call it soot, right? Soot. You must have seen the soot when there is, in the lamp, when you light a diya also, above that you get a black soot over it, right? So that soot is nothing but the unburnt carbon. Please make the list. Please make the list. Okay, I think you must have written now. Fine. So let's first talk about the carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide is a colorless, odorless, and a tasteless gas. So it's colorless, odorless means no smell, and tasteless gas. And how is it formed? By the incomplete combustion of fossil fuel. So you know very well when we burn fossil fuel, the combustion will give you CO2, H2, and other things. But when there is insufficient amount of air, the amount of the oxygen is not proper, it's not sufficient. In that case, instead of CO2, CO means carbon monoxide is formed. So we wrote it is produced by the incomplete combustion of fossil fuel. Right. So please write down these points, then I'll show you the next one.
Ma'am, wait for a minute.
Okay. So after this, so what happens due to the carbon monoxide? How is it dangerous for us? So when there is more amount of carbon monoxide, it causes headache, dizziness, and can even lead to coma and death. How is it? See, that's why it is advised not to sleep in a closed room with angithi, with burning angithi, right? Some, in winters, what people do, they burn coal in the room itself and close every door and every window. So what will happen? Over the time, the amount of the oxygen will deplete and the production of carbon monoxide will start. Fine. So now this will lead to the first headache, nausea, and then finally death also. Okay, so just write down exposure to carbon monoxide can cause headache, dizziness, and can even lead to coma and death. Yes, I can go back. Done? Please note down this point. We are writing about the carbon monoxide gas. How is it harmful for us? Okay, let's move to the next one. Next is carbon dioxide. So, carbon dioxide, you know that the level of the carbon dioxide is increasing, and one of the reason is combustion of fossil fuel. So, how is it dangerous for us? Because it is a greenhouse gas. Carbon dioxide is greenhouse gas which traps heat. Whatever heat is coming from sunlight, it traps heat. So due to which the global temperature, the average global temperature rises. Okay. Can you name some other greenhouse gases? Now, can you name some greenhouse gases? Means one is CO2. Any other gas? Do you remember? This is again something from general knowledge. No. Greenhouse gases. Let's make the list here. One will be CO2. Other will be water vapor. Right? Water vapor is also greenhouse gas. Then we have nitrous oxide.
Ma'am, methane.
Uh, Not methane actually. Right? Not methane. Yes, you can
Ma'am,
have
ozone.
ozone. Ozone. Ozone is a
Ma'am,
greenhouse gas. Yes.
ma'am, I was also saying ozone.
Yeah, I heard.
Yes, ma'am.
I heard. Uh, yes, ozone. Yes, Virpa. Methane is also there. Methane. Then you have chlorofluorocarbons, which are actually used in the gases which are used in fridge, right? Refrigerator, ACs. They are greenhouse gases, chlorofluorocarbons. And even CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons, are responsible for the depletion of ozone layer. You know what is the importance of ozone layer? Yes, Ayush. Why is ozone layer important for us? Because it protects us from UV rays. It blocks UV rays. Exactly. Right. So do
Ma'am,
remember the greenhouse gases, CO2, water vapor, nitrous oxide, then ozone, methane. They all are greenhouse gases. Okay, so CO2 is also one of them, so it will also lead to global warming. So due to global warming, as the average temperature of the globe, earth is rising, so the increase in temperature will cause what? Melting of polar ice caps and glaciers. Okay, melting of polar ice caps and glaciers. Fine. And if the polar ice caps and glaciers will melt, what will happen? That will result in rise in sea level, and coastal areas will get submerged because the sea level will rise. Right. So this is just like CO2 is one of the reasons why can this happen, right? Why? Because the CO2, if this amount of the CO2 will keep on rising, the average temperature of the earth will rise, and what will happen? The ice, the glaciers will melt, and the level of the sea will rise. Next is sulfur dioxide. How is it harmful for us? So sulfur dioxide, when it is when the fuel is burned in the factories, when it is burned in automobiles, so sulfur dioxide is one of the pollutant which is released as the exhaust there. Okay, so SO2 when goes in the air, right? Not only SO2, but oxides of nitrogen also, right? NOx means oxides of nitrogen. That can be NO2, that can be N2O, that can be NO. Nitrogen dioxide, nitrous oxide, nitric oxide. They are the oxides of nitrogen. So SO2 and oxides of nitrogen, they actually go into the air, right? Where they react with water present in the atmosphere, right? Water vapor is present. They react with the water in the air, and then they form H2SO4 and HNO3, sulfuric acid and nitric acid, right? Sulfuric acid and nitric acid. Okay, so sulfur dioxide combines with water to give you sulfuric acid, and oxides of nitrogen combined with water to give you nitric acid. And when they come with the rain, right? When they come down on the surface of the earth with rain and their amount is high, then we call it acid rain.
Ma'am.
Understood what is acid rain and how
Yes,
is it
ma'am.
formed?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Good. Right. So this is how the acid rain is formed. So SO2 is released when coal is burned. And where is it burned? It can be burnt in factories, or the petrol or the diesel which gets burnt in the automobile. From there also the SO2 can be released. Okay. So whatever I just explained you, that is only written over here, that these gases react with oxygen and water vapor. So basically you tell water vapor present in air to produce dilute solutions of sulfuric acid and nitric acid. These acids fall down with rain, making it acidic, and it is known as acid rain. Okay, it is known as acid rain. So let's stop it here only. Fine, let's stop it here only. We will start with the sulfur dioxide only in the next session. And right now we will move on to the practice session, right? But before that, what we did today, let's have a look. Okay, so in this session, we actually discussed about the natural gas, right? We discussed about the natural gas, its uses, its composition, and we discussed about the limitations of the natural resources, basically fossil fuels, limitations of the fossil fuels, out of which one was that it is limited in amount. And we are still discussing the another drawback of using the fossil fuel, that is the air pollution caused by it. Okay, so we will continue with the sulfur dioxide in the next session, and we will revise whatever we did so far in coal and petroleum. Fine.